Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Um, yeah, I'm at home sick, so I thought I'd make some videos again. So I'll do a video on this one, and then one more video, and we're done with chapter 2. And then I'm guessing the last lesson probably just have spare time or something like that. Just depends if I can think of anything we could do. So we're finishing up on like the whole method of research, whole procedure of research methods, and then we're talking about ethics. I'm using the ebook because I don't know my textbooks at school. Um, so there's no pages for this one. So what we're going to be going through today is conclusions. So the conclusions when doing the study, which is the generalizations, reliability of the study, and validity of the study. Then we're talking about ethics, talking about confidentiality, voluntary participation, withdrawal rights, informed consent, debriefing, stuff like that. All right, so getting right into it. So what are the concluding stuff from experiment, from research? It needs to be evidence based. So it needs to be determined from the results that we find in our research study. If it depends what kind of study you're doing, from a different study. A conclusion can talk about whether our hypothesis was supported, and also the generalization of the research. You've heard me talk about generalization a lot, but what it actually refers to is how widely the results can be interpreted into the general public. Sorry, I had mind blank. Interpreted into the general public, so away from that sample population that we did, and how it actually is in the real world. And that's what that is. So now let's talk about research, reliability and validity. So reliability refers to the extent to which a measuring tool produces the results that are consistent, dependable, and stable. So for instance, if we're doing a breathalyzer, um, if I breathe into a breathalyzer now and then 10 seconds later, I should get the same result, right? Because I haven't had any alcohol. So it's how well I can get the same results over and over when factors don't change. Reaction time, something like reaction time. Obviously, if we're just doing it by eye, we're going to have similar. We should have similar results, but obviously it won't be exactly the same. So in order to have high reliability, things we want to avoid are small sample sizes, insufficient number of trials, so making sure we're doing we're doing activities over and over and over again, and using multiple measuring tools. So if I'm doing reaction time, for instance, I don't want someone using their phone and then me using a stopwatch, because there might be some input lag or something like that, which gives different answers. Now, for validity, it refers to the extent to which a measuring tool accurately measures what it claims to measure. So, for instance, a breathalyzer should accurately or should measure the blood alcohol content. A reaction, so if I had a stopwatch, it should accurately measure time. So it can be so research can be reliable but not valid, but it must be valid and to be reliable. Yes, that's right. Yes, okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. So it can be reliable but not be valid, but in order for it to be valid, it has to be reliable. So it has to be reliable. My bad about that. Comes in two forms, comes in internal and external validity. So we're going to look into that now. So internal validity refers to the extent to which the results obtained are actually due to the variables that were being tested. So you need to be confident that your DV or your dependent variable was changed solely due to the IV and not due to any extraneous or confounding variables. Then we have external validity, which refers to the extent to which results obtained can be generalized onto the population. So the bigger and more representative a sample size is, and more realistic the study is, so the more it's in like a real life setting and not in a lab setting, the higher the external validity is. A study that has external validity also has internal validity, but a study that has internal validity does not have to have external validity. All right, that one was a lot easier. Yes, it's a lot of crossovers that you see. So now we're talking about ethics. So what is ethics from like a whole perspective, right? Ethics refers to the standards that guide individuals to identify good, desirable, and acceptable conduct. In psychology or in any kind of science, there are certain ethics that need to be followed. The first one is confidentiality. So it refers to the obligation that the researcher must not use or disclose any private information for any purpose other than what it was given to them for. So if they're asking participants questions, it needs to be for the sole purpose of the research, and it can only be used during that research and for that research. Participants have what's called a right to privacy, which means that the researcher must only collect information that is relevant to the study, so they should not ask questions that won't help them in their study. Moving on, we have something called a voluntary participation. The researcher must ensure that participants are voluntarily consenting to be involved. There should be no pressure for them to participate, and the researcher must also ensure that participants do not experience negative consequences if they choose not to be involved. My bad on the spelling there. Then we talk about withdrawal rights. So participants have an unconditional right to withdraw from a study. They don't need to give any reason. They can just withdraw if they want to. The withdrawal right goes after the study as well. So after they've conducted the study, after they've participated, they can choose to have their data withdrawn, regardless of the effect it has on an overall study. It could ridiculously change the outcome of the study, but they have a withdrawal right, so they can do it. Withdrawal rights must be explained to the participants explicitly, and it must be ensured that participants understand that they'll suffer no negative consequences from withdrawing. Now, we have informed consent procedures. So information about purpose, methods, demands, risks, and potential benefits of the study must be explained to the participant. It should be used in it should be explained in simple English, so it should have no jargon, no scientific words. It should be catered towards who it is, so what demographic, what age, whatever else, what language barriers there may be. So the participant must really understand what the study is and what they're going to be involved in, and any and all questions can be asked and it must be answered. Participants who cannot legally provide informed consent must also obtain consent from a person who is legally responsible for the well-being. So, for instance, for a child can't give consent, so you look for a guardian, whether it's mother, dad, uncle, auntie, whatever it is. Whoever has a legal responsibility for their well-being must be told. Now, deception. So deception occurs when participants are deliberately misled or not fully informed about the aim or any other aspect of the research. Sometimes it's what you have to do, just so participants don't change how they would act accordingly to what they expect should happen, because they'll just be inaccurate for the study. Deception is actually considered ethical if the potential benefits justify its use, and if all the participants are debriefed at the end of the study. And finally, we're talking about debriefing. It involves clarifying each participant's understanding of the true nature of the research as soon as possible after it's been conducted. So if you remember Zimbardo's prison experiment, debriefing occurred years after. So obviously that was a bit how you going. But yeah. So it includes explaining the true purpose and why it was necessary to deceive them, correcting any mistaken ideas or any impressions that the participant had, and answering any and all questions, including ones related to deception. Now, probably the most important thing about debriefing is checking the well-being of the participants and addressing any harm that may have resulted from the study. So people like Zimbardo's experiment, the reason why it's considered unethical, or one of the reasons, is because of the debriefing part. The harm wasn't really discussed or anything like that, and they didn't check on the well-being until years after, until that effect had already happened. It's a quick video. Sorry about me stuttering on the part before. I think it was a validity. I think it was. Sorry about that. But anyway, your task today to read the National Statement on Ethical Conduct and take notes. Don't know what page number it is, but it's in the ethics part. Then just after that, there's a part on the role of the ethics committee. I want you to read that and take notes. And then complete the previous learning activities that you haven't completed. Just remember, parent-teacher interviews is soon, so I don't want to talk to your parents and say that you haven't been doing work in class. So just make sure you get that done. I'll try to make more videos. Depends how I'm feeling. Right now I feel okay. I just feel very lightheaded and my throat hurts a lot. If I get really lethargic and stuff, I'll probably just post PowerPoints. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Alright, take care.